Today at the Cabana, I sat down with neighbor and friend, filmmaker Michael Rainin. He took us deep into the world of the Romani people. He has this incredible documentary out called Run, Raven, Run, and it is narrated by the late Michael Madsen. He also opens up about his own health struggles and the resilience it took to overcome them, a strength that mirrors the spirit of the Romani. Their story and his are powerful reminders of compassion, survival, and the beauty of human dignity. For all my history and movie fans, you don't want to miss this episode. So give it a listen, like, subscribe, and if you're interested in more information on Run, Raven, Run, look at the show notes. My name is Zoe Scott, and this is my podcast, Confessions at the Cabana. I was born in England, and I chased my dreams across the ocean, landing in America, and then driving all the way to California to live my rock and roll life. I've journeyed from living in the wild to lighting up the stages all around Los Angeles, and I've got plenty of stories to share. But this podcast isn't about me. It's about creating space for others to share their stories, stories that inspire, stories that bring us together, and stories that heal. So come join us here in Malibu at the Cabana. So here we are, Michael. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Zoe.
I am absolutely so deeply moved, fascinated, and inspired by your documentary, Run, Raven, Run, about the Romani gypsies. I mean, what was the initial inspiration to go and connect with these people inside of you?
Yeah, inside of me. The initial kind of interest, you know, I love history in college and high school, and yeah, so just I've kind of always wanted to know the unknown, you know,
the great mystery.
Yeah, look under the rock. You know, as a kid, I was
Right.
always, you know, fly fishing with my dad. Always wanted to, you know, he would show me the nymphs, the larval stage of the, you know, and I was always interested in what you couldn't see on the surface. And the Romani and the Roma, you know, it's hard to get access because
Yes, I was really impressed that you had got access. You know, gypsy has a lot of mystery attached to it, doesn't it?
right, and then Western Europeans, we tend to romanticize them, and we have, in you know, throughout history. I mean, you know, Fleetwood Mac, you know, this Allman Brothers, Jimi Hendrix, you know, this whole gypsy, black magic woman, this kind of, you know, thing.
So in a way, to our psyche, you think it represents exotic romance, freedom. What do you think it represents to our collective psyche? in
Yeah,
the
I mean, we
West?
go into that into the film, how during the Industrial Revolution, painters and poets and musicians, you know, started to romanticize this kind of free-spirited, you know, Roma, you know, and throughout this interview, saying the word gypsy, I know some people look down upon that and
Okay.
think that it's derogatory.
So Roma
But-
or Romani.
Yes, but when I traveled with the Roma in all over Romania, different musical clans all over, they wanted me to call them gypsy. They don't feel like that name is a derogatory name. And then also one of the rappers from the ghetto in Bucharest, the Roma kind of you know, lower income neighborhood, that she started talking to me about how they're called ravens because of their black hats,
Yeah.
and how they, you know, that it's a derogatory term that they'd pick dead meat off the streets, and you know,
Because, you know, in the Cherokee, I was trained by a Cherokee medicine woman, and Raven for the Cherokee people, she taught me meant magic and the ability to transmute things and create light out of darkness. So that's interesting.
but
you know?
I love it, and for me too, corvids, the you know, which are black crows or ravens, they're the smartest bird in the world,
Yeah.
right? And they can use tools, and they remember faces, and they can, you know, it's insane, their communication between each
I
other.
mean, and the music does feel very shamanic, you know, especially when, I don't remember her name, beautiful blonde, the famous blonde.
Viorica from
Yeah,
Klejani.
when she was singing that Raven, you know, and howling out, it sounds very like shamanic in many ways. Do you think there's a sort of shamanic healing element? They sing of their pain, one of them said.
Oh yeah, that's all that Roma music is really about is pain. Yeah. And we go into that in the film. Dr. Margaret Bessinger at Yale, Princeton. I'm sorry, she is like the leading professor right now on the Romani studies and history and culture and music, and she says that in the film. That's a great quote. She says, an old Romani musician told her once in the '80s when she was living with them doing all her research that gypsy music is all about pain.
Well, I think it's a marvelous documentary, and I think it deserves lots of accolades. It really talks so deeply of their struggle, their heartbreak, but also their joy and the medicine of music and the kids that were saved almost in a way from the ghetto and the ghetto life of drugs and sadness, were saved by the music. Where was the initial spark? Did you meet somebody? Did you go on a holiday to Romania, or was it the musicians? Did you meet them in LA? The ones that came.
So as a director, I use photography books for inspiration for whether it's an advertisement, a commercial, or a music video, or a film, or a scene, and some of the books that I was collecting were on the Romani and on the Roma. Then through when I started to want to do this film and did the deep dive, I started to find more photographers. One, Jordi Oliver, and Douglas Thompson, my editor and co-writer on this film, who's tremendous. He found some people as well doing the research. But getting back to the reason I did it in the first place, Amir Costa Rica films I kind of fell in love with early on. Those were made in the '80s. Underground is one. Black Cat, White Cat is another.
Right.
Another is Time of Gypsies. Time of Gypsies, one of my favorite. Everyone should go see it. Amir Costa Rica. He kind of fell out of favor with Khan because of his political views, and some say he's a nationalist, Serbian and this and that. But he'll always be a great filmmaker to me. It's
What's that movie about? Because I haven't seen it.
Time of Gypsies.
Yeah,
Time of Gypsies, it follows a young man, kind of coming of age story, falling in love for the first time and this and that, but very poor and has this.
So it has some of the grit of the
it
real
has the
life.
grit. Oh yeah, a lot of the grit and humor. Amir Costa Rica films always have this kind of theater of the absurd, which I love, and that's kind of like my first film I directed was based on that theater of the absurd. This and existentialist kind of.
I mean, you really immersed yourself in the world of these Romani peoples. How did it? I mean, it is very gritty. Some of the reality is incredibly tough. The number of people who die of drug overdoses or, the poverty. Was it difficult as a human being to witness all that? Did you feel frustrated by it, or how did it make you feel?
I remember I got back and I met you and your sister. And
yes, at the party,
so
we were
lovely,
talking about it.
at a neighbor's friend's house.
Yeah.
I just got back and I was telling you about it, and you said, "Oh, what did you learn?" And I started, at tears.
Yeah. What was it that was so emotional to you that you learned?
I think it's the perseverance and the strength that those kids had, and even all the musicians that I met, all the Romani musicians that I met, they're so hardworking, right? I mean, they're playing 200 days a year, traveling,
and so joyous.
Joyous. And when they play, they don't play for like an hour set. They play at a wedding or a funeral or whatever it might be. They'll play for 2 days, 3 days. And maybe take, a couple hours break, but they'll be, I mean, it's unbelievable, So I learned so much. I learned, I just saw so much perseverance. It gave me a lot of hope, and a lot of dedication, hard work, even though especially those kids grew up in poverty and drug abuse all around them. And Toto, you see those scenes in the film, from Toto and His Sisters, which was a film made, I think, early 2000s. He's 9 years old in the film, and when I'm filming him, he's 18. And you'll see in the film the scenes that we used, his uncle's using, heroin right next to him, and he's playing with the thing, and his mom gets put in jail,
Yeah.
prison, and
She was being beaten up by her husband, right, to go and rob, and then she got put in jail for robbing.
just the contrast as well is very emotional. Even to think about it now, I get emotional because I mean, look at the lives that we are able to live, which are so blessed, and like I mean, I have so much gratitude every day, especially seeing how others live. Uh, so that is jarring, and it's
It must have been very jarring
yeah.
to be there and to be in that kind of level of poverty and, well, also emotional poverty, as you were saying, when someone has lost a mother to jail or, their uncles are doing drugs. But also, what did it teach you about resilience? Because those kids that were doing their theater troupe and, the musicians in the countryside, so much resilience as well.
Well, yeah, it's funny to go back to your question, your initial question of why I did it. Well, so I was doing well in Hollywood and working my way up as like an art director, then production designer, and worked in the script department early on, and then started directing and producing, and I was doing films, and then I got I got ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease.
Wow.
Got really sick, derailed me for probably 6-8 years serious, where I was in the
Wow.
hospital, had multiple surgeries.
Wow.
And
I'm so sorry, Michael.
Oh yeah,
I
no,
didn't
but
know that. You always
yeah,
talk
went on a.
vital. So-
I went on a biologic, as now they have all these drugs for it, and got better. And when to come back and start, directing and producing again, I was like, oh, what am I gonna, how am I gonna just jump back into the game? Because it is a game, I mean, what a
very,
circus.
very tough
Yeah,
world.
competitive. And so I was like, I have to do a passion project. So, I've been collecting all these books on the Roma and wanting to do that forever.
This need to go and look under that rock and see what
Yes.
the truth was, huh?
Yeah, so even when I was there, I was even parts of it, I was quite ill still, just
Wow.
getting better.
Gosh, because
So-
it's a pretty harsh environment to be ill in.
Yeah, and just
Did it
I
heal
had
you?
lost
Did
a
it
lot of
heal
weight.
you in
It
some
did
way?
that process, yeah, for sure.
How did, being with the Romani people while you were still ill help heal you?
Just living life again, getting out there and not being in a hospital bed. For all the people listening to this, never, you just got to pull the trigger.
Go for it.
Yeah, and a lot of filmmakers will say that they'll start films when they're half funded or 3/4 funded, and they just start, because they're just like, if we don't do this, all the stars are aligning.
Yeah.
So it was great to do that process and see their strength, and they reminded me that that we're tough as humans. We adapt, we overcome health issues, all sorts of issues. So they showed me that.
I mean, did it feel like going through, how many years were you dealing with that?
I mean, really, 10 years from 32 to 42. I'm
Wow, that's
50 now. So
Wow, that's
yeah.
were there moments you felt like giving up?
Oh yeah.
And was it connecting to these muses, these things outside of yourself that had mystery or magic?
Well, it's
that
funny. I
helped
think,
you?
I mean, that helped me really were just having kids, having 2 kids. Yeah. If I didn't have the kids, I probably would have maybe given up.
Yeah.
But, and then Michael Madsen, who, rest in peace, he just passed away. The reason why he did the film was because he has 5 boys. He lost one to suicide
Yeah.
about a year and a half ago. But he told me the reason why he said yes to it was because of the, main theme in the film is like a father handing down the traditions to the son, right?
Oh,
And he had 5
that makes me
sons.
tear up because
Yeah.
that's so beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so beautiful. So, and Luke, I know pretty well, his youngest.
Mm-hmm.
And so he actually said that the percentage of profits, if when there is ever some profits on the film, would go to Luke.
I'm sure there will be.
I know.
At
I'm just
some
saying.
point.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying it was so cute, And so there's this
The handing down of the baton of
exactly.
art, creativity, survival,
Yes.
having a voice, right? Having a voice in the world. It's interesting that you say you were so into history because it was wonderful the way you also talked of the history all the way through the documentary and explain to us that don't know some of the atrocities the Romani people have been through, like being put in the concentration camps or being enslaved or taking away the right during the communist regime to sing their music or to even marry another gypsy person, you know, the kind of things that happened to the Native Americans in America. I wouldn't have known all that stuff if I hadn't have seen your documentary. Do you see anything improving for them?
Yeah, you know, well, it's so strange. I mean, what a strange climate to even be talking about that, like, because they're probably 50 years behind the civil rights movement in America for African Americans, and yet, and they don't really have a leader in for that cause right now.
Maybe your documentary can be that voice for them, you know, can be the thing that really draws more attention to the plight of
That's
these,
what I was hoping.
money. It's courageous. It's courageous to go and be with them and experience their pain and experience their joy. I see that as very courageous. Were there any moments where you personally felt so sick or ill or overwhelmed that you were like, I don't know if I've taken?
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember like a few times we were taken to some street parties and parties late at night at 2, 3 a.m.
Mm.
with a lot of intoxicated people in parts of Ferentari where, you know, police don't go much and Romanians don't go much. But I always found like with a big smile, you could always like, you know, de-escalate, you know, a violent situation, like with a big smile.
Did you ever feel like you were in a situation that felt edgy or violent?
Yeah, a couple times. Just when you have intoxicated people, you know,
Yeah.
intoxication, and then they just see some big, you know, blonde white guy with a camera. You know,
Yeah,
they're
right.
like, "What is this?"
That lovely, amazing concert at the end. Did that take place in Ferentari or was that close to
Yes,
the ghetto? I wasn't sure. Where they all performed and
yeah, that I think that was in Ferentari. Yeah, that in that international Gypsy Day.
the pride in the music and the handing of the music to the children and, you know, raising them on the music. It's so beautiful. And really, the musicians were the ones that came out, in my mind, the winners, because the music was medicine. Is music medicine in your life?
It is. It's.
I know you play guitar and
Yeah, and harmonica, blues harmonica, sing a little bit. The yeah, music for me has helped me always help. Like when I was younger and first started feeling anxiety when I was like 14, 15.
Mhm. Yeah, music for me definitely. You know, my father was alcoholic, and it was a little toxic in my home, and it gave me a whole new lease of life. And I had 10, 13 years in rock and roll, but it was a deeply healing journey for me, like to own my own voice, to find my own voice through songwriting. There's something very powerful in doing that, finding the essence of who you are. Do you also songwrite?
A little bit. I try to. I'm not a great songwriter, but I love songwriters. Oh my gosh, Lana Love. I did a music video for her. She's such a good songwriter.
Yeah.
I wanted to say one thing that I did learn through the filming of Run Raven Run, which you know, it's a patriarchal society.
Yes, I noticed that.
The
Yeah.
Roma, and I do wish there was a bigger female presence in the film. I wish that it was matriarchal. I mean, I really do, because I think that it would help everything. I think it would help us, our society.
Yeah.
I think it would help a lot. But just having women in charge in general. But
Or at least a balance, right?
I think all the upper brass in the military and any elected official should all be women.
Really?
And I think there'll be less
Wow.
violence, and I think it
Yeah.
would be better.
I mean,
But
Joseph Campbell always said that until the god and goddess, the feminine and the masculine, set side by side, there'll be war on earth. So I think a nice balance.
love that.
You know,
Oh
I
my
think
gosh.
I love men, and I love my sisters. So I think a nice balance. We got to figure out our way to get in balance, really, haven't we?
We do. The thing I love about Malibu and our community here is like these kind of experiences. This was years ago. There's this guy named Rockman. Do you know Rockman?
Yeah, the rock man.
Rock
You mean
man.
the guy who follows the whales?
Yeah, and he builds like little rock structures out
Yeah.
there, and I love him. He's just a great guy, and he grew up here.
Soulful,
And,
very, yeah.
yeah, and I was surfing one day out at the outer reef, and it was really big, and there was only like four of us out, and he was one of them, and he said, and I was telling him about this film, Run Raven Run, and he said that long ago, the inventor of the Moog keyboard lived on his parents' or his family's land in Malibu, and he told him once what music stood for, and he said, "Mankind understanding spiritual information correctly." And I was like, we were out in like this big, spray from the big waves was, and it was like you could see rainbows. And then he told me this quote, and I was like, wow, moments like that happen all the time in Malibu. It's
Yeah.
so weird. These
Yeah.
great inspirational, like, wow, just
Such a creative community, right?
yeah, I love it.
I'm just sitting here, and the most wonderful people are coming and talking to me, and not all of them, but a lot of them are from our direct community. There's this wonderful spillover, I think, from Los Angeles, and the ones that went, whoa, Hollywood is way too much. Let's go back to nature, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's a special place. There's definitely high energy,
High vibrations,
high
right?
vibrations.
And a chance to collaborate and have these beautiful conversations. Do you find yourself when you are playing guitar, is it cathartic in the way music is for the Romani gypsies, which is you can channel pain out of yourself rather than holding on to it?
Yeah, release. Yeah,
Mhm.
very cathartic, I feel.
What do you think the message of the Romani, the greatest message of the Romani people would be to the world?
I mean, after learning so much, because for me it was going down the rabbit hole and learning so much about their history and their culture, and then the way that the West or Western Europe and Asia then will portray it or digest it and then romanticize it or shun it or say, oh no, they're dirty or they're thieves, or say, oh no, they're free-spirited, enchantresses, or all these
All the projections.
projections that are, neither. I mean, they are here nor there. But, they're ever present, and so I just think it was nice to
Get to the truth.
get to the truth of it, and it's that there's some bad people there, and there's a lot of good people, and they're extremely hardworking, and the musicians especially, and what a great people, and they're originally from Rajasthan, which
Yeah.
is so amazing,
I've
1,000
driven the
years ago.
Rajasthan desert. It's so beautiful, so colorful. You see,
Oh my God, I
you
would
see
love
the
to go there.
ladies in these beautiful colored clothes,
Oh.
like walking with the baskets on their head. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting to think that all the Roma diaspora that's so large there in Westlake. I see them when I see them at like the grocery stores, begging and stuff, and I'll go and I'll show a picture of me and like Viorica and Onitsa and Margarita, and they'll just die. They're hugging and kissing me and like, oh,
Really?
they're good. Yeah, it's so funny.
So there are Romani
Here, everywhere.
in
They're
Los
everywhere.
Angeles.
In Westlake, in
Really?
Agora.
Wow. I
Yeah,
mean,
and they're
Sorry, but I didn't
they're
even know
running
that.
some scams. Beware.
Right.
They're out there.
Right.
And that's the other thing is like even one time we were filming with Unitsa in Klejani, there's all these musicians there, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to go across the street and meet like the big gangster of the village?" And he had the biggest house. We went over there. They were all outside around this plastic table and chairs, outside in the dark, listening to music, smoking, drinking. And then when they came, and they were very nice. They brought me in the house, showed me all over the house. And there's certain towns where there's just these mansions of these gangsters, and they just they build these houses.
Wow, how fascinating. What was the type of music that came, that became very popular? It began with an M.
Manele.
Manele.
Yeah, which
and
has
that
a
looked
more
at, some of the videos were very much about, achieving material wealth, right? And yeah.
they're going through, their kind of, their evolution. And the music, I kind of I do like Manele. It's got this more kind of Oriental beats to it, Turkish
Mm.
influence, and I was mesmerized by the Roma when they travel through countries. They absorb the music. So if they go through Israel, they absorb like klezmer, and if they go through Turkey, those beats of like 8/7 kind of beats, or 9/8 or 5/4, all these just interesting rhythmic possibilities. They absorb it all in, and
I mean, that's beautiful. That is the beautiful thing about music as well. When you think about the Beatles, who wanted to sound like, or the Rolling Stones wanting to sound like the American blues, the way it becomes this incredible language of the world, and this.
so lovely.
But that's beautiful to know how, as they traveled, they.
Yeah, Professor Bessinger goes into it in the film about how you would think that the accordion was with Roma music, gypsy music, since the beginning, right? But really, it was only introduced 40 years ago or 50 years ago, that after the war, the Austrians and Germans, as they came back, into Eastern Europe, they brought their instruments, and the soldiers brought the instruments back, and then so like in Zece Pergini, that they call them fanfare, the big horn bands of 10, 11 people.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, all their instruments are all from the 40s and 50s. As those instruments got their way back, there's still. I mean, I remember they borrowed some tape from my crew to tape up his drum, because it was ripped, and like all these. It's so cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me a couple of your favorite stories or
Oh, gosh.
favorite moments. You told me about the gangsters, but
Yeah.
what
Okay, let me think.
moments were like aha moments or epiphanies,
Yeah.
or like wow.
I mean, the time with the kids, the younger, 18-year-olds in Ferentari in the ghetto, was really poignant and emotional, just because they were so strong and they had so much love, even despite having needles all over and trash, and it's like insane.
Mhm.
Um,
And that were are you referring to the teenagers?
the teenagers,
Or,
yeah, in Ferentari in Bucharest. That there's so many moments, which you'll see in the film, and you did see where she's telling all those sad stories about when her childhood and growing up, and
Mhm.
her mom being killed, and all this
Mhm.
stuff. And then I went back for a film festival, the Wallachia Film Festival, and we won Best Film, Best Picture, and they were there, and they got to get awards. And so
That must have
was
been
so nice.
such a moment of great
Yeah.
pride and excitement for
Well,
them.
to
And
give them any love and strength to go forward, I think that's what kids need, right? They need.
because you have children, so then like seeing how these children are having, that must have also been very moving.
Yeah, it was so nice. And then to see that, we used some of that footage of Toto when he was a kid, learning, like when he first sees his love of breakdancing,
Yeah,
actual
it's
in real
beautiful.
time,
Yeah.
and then going to his first competition of breakdancing, and winning second place.
Yeah, it's amazing what the human soul can do given a focus, given a passion. I think that would be my takeaway from watching this beautiful documentary, that the ones who had passion um, in what they did, they survived. They did more than survive, they thrived, they found happiness, they found joy.
Hmm. And haven't you found that in your life, like have been people, because a lot of, like, everyone will tell you, like, you have to do it yourself, and as a filmmaker too, or a musician, like, no one's going to give you anything. No one's, people might along the way, like, give a helping hand or
No,
encouragement.
you got to go,
and love,
just go for
but
it.
you obviously have to just do it. Like, if you want to make films, you go get a cheap camera and just start making films.
Right.
Write down an outline, of what your story is going to be about, your narrative, this and that. And if you can't write a script, then just shoot it off the outline. Like, do whatever you need to do. Just get it done. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I love that,
Yeah.
and I mean, I'm really into Campbell and following your bliss. And they say, when you follow your bliss, your passion, doors will open where you thought there were none. And that is the whole key. That's the dare. That's the lesson, right? Feel the force, Luke.
Yeah.
You've got to.
Don't be scared. Don't let your fears stop you.
Thank you for making this documentary. It was an incredible both education but also heart opening for me to see everything that is going on there. You and I connect as musicians and our passion for music. I love some of the videos you create. You work with, amazing musicians, Eric Benet, and
Yeah, I love Eric. He's an old friend.
yeah, I love the videos you've done with him, and
Yeah, we got 2 number ones. The last 2 videos I directed for him with Tamar Braxton was number 1 on Billboard R&B charts for several weeks, and then his most recent one with Shantae Moore.
yes, I
directed
loved that
So
song.
Distracted. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
that song too.
brilliant song.
We shot at East West Studios, which is such a legendary studio with they did, I guess Frank Sinatra wrote My Way there and recorded it. For the first
Yeah.
time.
I've recorded there a few times, actually. I recorded my Bossa Nova album, but I actually grew up around East West. It used to be called Cello. Cello is such a big part, and East meets West is such a big part of my personal history. I love going over there. I recorded some of my Bossa Nova tracks over there with Mugi Carnazio.
And that was how I think I first heard your name. I was producing for Steve Lippman, a photographer, a long
Yes.
time ago, and I love Steve.
Yeah, he
Steven's
came
such
and
another
photographed
Malibu
me.
community member
Yeah.
who we love.
What gives you the most happiness these days? Where are you most happy?
Wow. When I'm playing music with my little trio, Jason Coteen on drums, Chris Dunn on guitar, and I play guitar and harmonica and sing. We have a lot of fun. We've been playing together for
I gotta come and see you play. Where do you do that? Do you do it at your house?
in my yard, in the house, in his studio, electric, or at Jason's house sometimes, but most of the time here. But I'd love to have you. Oh my gosh, for you to sing with us.
Oh, that would be
love
amazing.
it.
I'd love that. What has music brought you personally? Like, what is the feeling that you get?
Life obviously for everybody it's money and
Stress.
responsibilities and stress
Yeah,
and
especially when you're raising
bills,
kids, right?
Yeah, and all sorts of stuff. So having that moment just to tap into like a creative kind of
Vibe.
soulful, energy that
It's healing.
is
and,
healing and just freeing and releasing of a lot of tension
Mhm,
and pain.
mhm. I'm very much a believer in the laws of attraction. And I have to say, the moments where I've been most broke, what I usually do is go and look at something entirely beautiful. Like I remember I used to always go down to Lake Shrine and look at all the when I didn't have so much money, all the lovely semi-precious stones and the jewelry in their store, and just look and infuse and imagine. And it seems to work every time. So that's what I
Yeah.
say. Like, if you can do that, get out of your mind and go with the flow again, you can maybe call in that vibration of abundance. And usually that's when the best jobs come in. I find.
I went and picked up my daughter at sleepaway camp up near Fresno a couple of days ago.
Sleepaway camp.
They love it. It's really fun. But it's up near Sequoia. So I went
Wow.
and I drove up.
Gorgeous there.
Oh my God. I drove up to Wolverton. There's a parking spot there up near Lodgepole Visitors Center. And I went hiked up to Emerald Lake and Pear Lake.
Wow.
And I slept up there under the stars with no tent. And it
Wow.
was just so beautiful.
Sweet medicine.
Oh my
right?
God. I went fly fishing, caught some brook trout. And it was just,
Is that your main medicine, nature?
nature. Yeah, Mother
nature.
Earth.
Me too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I do have a funny story that I remember from the film. Okay, so we went and filmed in this town called Glad, and it was up in the Carpathian Mountains. This town is where Sacha Baron Cohen went when he filmed, what was that film? Bruno, not Bruno, but yeah, Bruno, one of these, Borat.
Borat, I love Borat.
Okay, so
Borat
he
is so
filmed.
hilarious.
It is hilarious. He went to that village
Yes.
that I passed through, and I'm there saying, "Oh, I'm making a film about the racism of about gypsies and the Roma and racism and stuff." He told them that that's what he was doing too, and then he put them in this comedy, and he had them saying that they lived in their houses with the animals. They don't do that, and they were very offended by that.
Oh, that
They
is
all
offensive.
were. They were all so pissed that I
They
got.
probably put a
Oh
curse
my
on
God!
his-
When I
even his-
They were
Borat!
throwing rocks. I mean, it was serious. That I did feel like violence was going to happen. Shit was crazy. It was crazy. And they all said,
Why did he do that?
I
Oh
don't
my
know, but
God.
that's at least there. I didn't get his take on it, but and I don't know him personally, and I've never worked with him, so I'm not going to say anything bad. I don't know him, but that's what these villagers were telling me.
How many film festivals? Because you won some amazing awards for your documentary. How many different film festivals was it?
It was in like 38 film festivals, and it won, I think, 8 Best Picture prizes.
I mean, it's such an amazing documentary and so important. I think you're going to find, so many people inspired by it and excited by it.
So it's nice to revisit it, though, in the quotes, because I'm doing the closed captioning. Like, so some of the quotes that Dr. Bessinger said about how the Roma musicians are both loved and loathed at the same time, that while they're playing their instrument, they're revered. And then the moment they put it down, they don't want them to sit at their table with, as they eat.
Do you think in one way or another we're all loved and loathed?
I do.
Yes.
I do.
But, maybe there's always that flip side. And we can be great at things, but that causes envy in others. And, so there's always that dark and light that's turning. I think anytime you step out and have a go at anything, there's going to be some people who are going to be like, yeah, brilliant. And there'll be others like, who the hell does they think they are? But,
The yin and the yang, the dark and the light.
The Romani people, are they religious or are they more spiritual?
Well, it seems Orthodox Christian, at least in Romania. It seems like a lot of them were Orthodox.
Did you discover any sort of indigenous spirituality that would be closer to I don't know, shamanic healing or
something?
Yeah.
Or, I felt that vibe for sure.
Right.
I did not see direct evidence of that, but I could feel that.
Because isn't there that what I remember in England as a child, sometimes you would run into gypsies who were begging on the side of the street and the women, and they would hand you the flowers and say, good luck. And if you didn't take them, they would say bad luck.
Ooh.
So there is a knowledge there of the forces and the energy.
Karmic kind of stuff. I'm sure.
Yeah.
The one thing I was surprised about was the conservatism of the musicians. Like, Gypsy Woman or, Fleetwood Mac or these or Jimi Hendrix or Allman Brothers, these gypsy songs of like kind of free-spirited women.
Yeah.
Maybe they're a little bit not as conservative with their sexuality or this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or free-spirited, open.
Yeah.
But the truth is I've found the opposite.
Wow, how fascinating.
Actual Romani, that they are quite conservative with their, they live life.
Expression and
Yeah, and they're very, actually just super hardworking, a lot of values and morals, good moral compass. Yeah, it was interesting, it's funny how our perception.
Well, we're all projecting on each other all the time, aren't we? And being projected on and,
Yeah. The end of the film, Run, Raven, Run, is a beautiful little soliloquy, Ovidio Lipantandarica, talking about what music is to him and what he hopes people will be like going forward as we progress and evolve as humans. And that's like loving each other, loving each other's differences, diversity, and seeing what each of us can contribute, all of the richness, of that diversity. And how, multi-culti, I think he says, multicultural in the closing remarks of the film. But, one love, that kind of thing, that let's all take care of each other. Let's make sure that the ones that are dropping behind, let's give them a helping hand. The ones that are getting too far ahead, let's say, hey, come back a little.
Yeah.
Let's all, be together.
Yeah.
So
seems to be a bit of a theme in the Cabana here. I don't know, like everybody who has been in so far has this, I think, dream for greater harmony, greater peace, more love, more community, spirit, and we certainly get our fair amount out here in Malibu, which is wonderful.
Yeah, I feel like that there's such good vibes here. When our loved ones pass away, we go out as surfers and we get in a big circle and hold each other's hands. And
Yeah, that's
splash,
beautiful, isn't it?
yeah, it's like,
Surf community, surfers, and yeah. So I guess, what I'd like to ask for other filmmakers, young filmmakers, or filmmakers of any age, what advice I know you said earlier, just go for it. Is there any other advice? It's not easy to become a filmmaker, and you've done it.
yeah, I would say, well, it's interesting that my filmmaker friends some went to Full Sail film school, some went to Columbia, some went to UCLA, some went to NYU, some went to USC. And it feels like that everyone who went to USC is killing it, is like A-team shooting Star Wars and
What?
the lead.
So get into USC.
If you're going to go, I didn't go to film school.
Wow.
I wanted to go to film school, but I couldn't afford it, and my parents wouldn't pay for it. So instead of having like the crazy student debt, I decided to get a history degree, which they would pay for, and which I'm happy I got a history degree because I love history. But I think, long story short, if you do go to film school, go to USC, and then just start working your ass off. I rebrand companies, any kind of narrative. It's all about narrative, right? It's
Right.
all about a journey that we're going on, whether it's a product or a music or a musician or it's all, we just need to be.
So apply your skills wherever
Yeah.
they're needed, right?
Yeah, it's a hustle, but anything, I guess, is a hustle, right? We're out there trying to create projects. And
It seems like, what Rocco Bellic said about creating, the happiness documentary. He said with documentaries, you do not put them down until they're finished. It's just you yourself, getting it finished, because there was no one really supporting you in this documentary, right? It was just you,
yeah.
your passion, your dream.
Yeah, exactly.
So our show is called Confessions at the Cabana. Is there anything you would like to confess to, Michael, that you've never confessed before? Any future dreams or wishes, or I don't know, anything you like, really, anything you want to confess? We'll take it.
Okay, here it is. Since I was like a kid watching live music and stuff, I always saw the guy who plays, I don't know his name. He looks maybe Jewish, curly hair, dark hair, and he would play like with the Stones and with the Who. I would see him traveling and playing the harmonica, the blues harmonica, on like a song or two at these big shows. So that like is my dream and my confession that I've never really told him, was that in an ideal world, I would be a professional harmonica player, and I would travel around with this little briefcase of 12 harps of the keys, right? And I would just
How
I would
brilliant.
do little guest appearances.
Well, listen, let's get out that harmonica. Woohoo! Let's have some music finally in the Cabana. Oh my God, that's beautiful, Michael. Oh my God, thank you so much. You are such a wonderful artist and such a great, deep soul. And I so appreciate you making that documentary and putting your heart and soul into it. I think it's, really, really important. It's also a pleasure to get to know you. It's wonderful the way I'm getting to know people even more deeply sitting down here, because we all talk about what we really care about in, a short space of time. So thanks for being up for this. Love it, Michael. Awesome.